Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited today because I'm going to be talking to you about some of the updates I've recently noticed, just doing some research and just getting emails, being subscribed to several of these like marketing email lists. And today, a couple of things have happened. First is ChatGPT's browser came out, and this browser is called Atlas, and I definitely think you should check it out. I'm going to do a deep dive on that probably in a different video because there's just so much to unpack. But I've got to tell you, I couldn't sleep last night because it is so exciting the amount of opportunity that's happening right now in the digital marketing space. So, from the browser to AI mode to what's happening in advertising, now is definitely not the time to not pay attention because things are going to get really exciting. So today I have with me two things. I have a book that I'm reading, and it's called Defensive Design for the Web. And this is really useful because I make websites, but it's also really useful for my application development that we're doing with this, which is SplashDash. And then I am drinking core water, which is water that's supposed to help you with your hydration. So I should be taking a couple sips of this throughout the live stream. So don't mind if I do that while I'm going through the presentation. But first and foremost, guys, I've got to tell you, I've never been more excited about digital marketing. It is such an interesting time right now that I'm having difficulty actually going to sleep because not because I'm like stressed out, but simply because of the fact that so many new and amazing things are coming out. And so some of us might look at this stuff and think it's big, bad, and scary, and we've got to change our ways. But some of us, ideally, if you're positive about this, are thinking about all of the different ways you can get opportunity from what's changing right now. Because anytime there's a paradigm shift like this, what happens is a lot of people take their time and they don't pay attention. When new features come out, when new ad measures come out, when new tactics come out, when new algorithms come out, people adopt to it quick, and then some people take forever to get to it. So I really want to make sure that what I'm communicating to you is what I'm doing in the real world. So everything that I communicate is what I'm doing with real customers. Like you can go on my website and you can see these customers. And some of them are probably watching this video right now. And I have no shame in doing that because it allows me to use my business, which is DevelopMark, an agency. It allows me to use it almost like a laboratory. I'm like this mad scientist and I have this big white coat and I'm like doing all these things for our clients. And then what I'm doing is I'm figuring out what's working. And then I'm going live on here on YouTube and I'm telling you how I'm approaching that. So everything I'm doing is really focused on the experience of the customer, and I'm sharing that. So anything that I talk about in today's video is with real experience. I just want to make that very clear. None of this is theory. A lot of it is practical. So I have a little presentation set up that I'm going to be going through, and I'll be sharing my screen throughout the live stream as well, just showing you the ins and outs of different things and where my mind is on a lot of things. And if this is helpful to you, hopefully you get some value out of it and you can execute on it because this is worthless if you don't do anything about it. So many people are so worried about sharing the information that's inside of their head. But little do they know that even if you did share everything that's in your head, nobody's going to take action on it anyways. So ideally, you take this information and you do something with it. So let's get started. So I have a little presentation here pulled up, and I'm going to be flip-flopping between the screen, this view, and my full view. When I'm in my full view, I'm going to look at you in the camera. When I'm on the screen, I'm going to look at the presentation, and then I might do some commentary kind of left and right this way. And I'm starting this new thing where I'm really getting obsessed with different types of waters. I really believe in the near future, good water is going to be something that's scarce. Same thing with good air. So on the live streams, I'm starting this new thing where I'm going to try different waters during a live stream and just report to you guys what that's like. So some of them are hundreds of dollars. So obviously somebody's spending a lot of money on that. So let's get started. First and foremost, Google Business Profile is now testing cross-location posts. This is extremely useful if you're working with businesses that have multiple locations. Now, I have a lot of opinions about Google Business Posts. Google has said it's not going to help your SEO. Google has said it's actually not going to do anything for your SEO, but it still gets views. And I want you to think about it this way. I want you to stop thinking about whether it's going to help you rank in the search results. And I want you to think about how many times someone on average is seeing your brand. The more impressions you can get, the more likely someone is to think about you when they have an issue. I've talked about this in the past live stream that marketing dwells on life circumstances in people's lives, major events. These major events, which are called moments, are typically things that you experience before your 30s, before your 50s, before your 70s. There's a bunch of different types of life experiences. Marketing does best during those. I'll give you some examples. Your 16th birthday party, the moment you get a driver's license, the moment you get married, the first time you buy a house, the first time you get into an accident, right? If unfortunately you're diagnosed with something, if you have a toothache, those kinds of moments are what you need to always be showing up for so that when that happens, somebody can actually call you for that. If you're not advertising, if you're not getting these impressions, no one's going to know you exist. So don't expect your business to grow. So organic methods like this are really wonderful, especially because it allows you to do it for free if you don't have a large advertising budget. So for us, we have multiple businesses that we manage multiple locations. One of them is actually opening up right down the street for me, and this is their 9th location. And oftentimes, this tool is going to be really useful because if they have to announce that they are not open on Thanksgiving, if they're not open on holidays, Google business posts are a really great way to do that. So some users are spotting this, copy the update to other profiles you manage, which is going to allow you to do the Google business posts across multiple locations. Now, every time you do a post, Google's going to tell you how many people that actually reached and how many people actually saw that. Granted, it's a reactive strategy. And I've talked a lot about how you can't reliably grow a business just expecting for people to search for you. That's not a great way to grow. That's a great way to capture inbound, but you've got to advertise. That's how you get to people, right? And so if you're doing that, you're going to get views of people that are already looking for you. So it's not that effective in terms of conversion. It is effective of managing the communications for an entity. So for multiple locations, it's a wonderful feature that they're adding. The second thing, a new study by Nective, by the way, if you guys don't know what Nective is, search them, performed a web search or stated that ChatGPT is performing a web search in 31% of user prompts. Now, this should not be a surprise to you guys. 31% of ChatGPT queries is prompting web search. That means 3 out of 10 people that are using ChatGPT are looking for local businesses. So I've talked until I'm about to pass out about GPT visibility and why that's important. And the reality of the fact is GPT just came out with their own web browser. And if you go to that web browser, I'm going to do a way separate video about that because I'm testing a bunch of things that I want to show you guys that's really cool. But if you go to that web browser and you search something, you're getting GPT. You're not getting Google anymore. And so you're going to expect to see GPT visibility is going to become something that's even more important than it already is inside of the world now. So SplashDash, the tool that I built, is actually already ahead of this. So if you're using SplashDash, you can go in there and run GPT visibility reports to see on average how visible you are in a given area. And so I do want to say that we are updating this information. So right now, this is the actual SplashDash page, right? And so if I go to and search for reports, I can search for ChatGPT visibility reports for different businesses that I've ran in the past. And what this report is going to tell me is it's going to tell me on average of the search amount that I searched. In this case, it was 47 prompts that it analyzed, how many times the client showed up in that situation. So ChatGPT went ahead and prompted itself basically, and then it's looking to see how many times on average my brand is being mentioned and giving me a visibility score. Look, guys, the name of the game now is visibility. It's not clicks anymore. It used to be the fact of your site gets a lot of clicks, but now clicks are almost becoming irrelevant. And when I talk to you about how Google Ads is actually changing the way that they're actually allowing users to hide sponsored posts, don't think in terms of actual clicks now. You're thinking more in terms of visibility, especially with the AI engines. And so we are improving this report as well. I do want to let you guys know, and that update should be out pretty soon. But if you haven't tried it, it's definitely something that I would try out on SplashDash.com, just running a GPT visibility report for your client and seeing where they stand. And I've got to tell you, this was really hard to build in the initial, but the more we actually built it and the more that we actually used it, the more it made more sense and it became more clear on how people are showing up inside of the GPT visibility reports. And the major thing that we're seeing is that the citations are a major component of it. So the new version is going to allow users to see, and I've shared this in a previous video, which citations in your area is being mentioned the most. So now all of a sudden these directories are becoming important. So again, if you want to go ahead and make sure that you're showing up inside of the actual search results, you're going to want to make sure that you are focusing on the GPT results. And that's something that is obviously happening right now, especially with the new browser that just came out, which is called GPT Atlas, by the way. For those of you that have not downloaded this, please, please, please do not get behind and make sure that you focus on this as soon as possible. This is ChatGPT's new browser. It works really well. I've tested it. And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing that part. Give me 1 second. This is ChatGPT's new browser. I've tested it. It works really well. I'm going to be doing a really nice live video on it, on how I'm using it and how I'm automating stuff with it, specifically a lot of the digital marketing tasks that we have going on with it. However, I'm going to show you a quick clip on how it was able to automate some really cool stuff that I was doing with SplashDash a couple of minutes ago. So I'm going to upload this video really quick inside of StreamYard, which is the live streaming software that I'm using to actually go live right now. By the way, if you guys have never used that, I highly recommend it. It's amazing. But this tool is going to change the game. So let me just pull it up really quick and I'll show you guys what I did with it. The reality of the fact is it is, I don't know if I can actually upload that. It is going to allow you to, oh, here it is, video file. It is going to allow you to basically run activities directly inside of your actual tool. So this is an example of me using GPT Atlas. I gave it a single prompt, as you can see on the top right. That prompt was to just run a bunch of reports inside of SplashDash, and GPT Atlas did that pretty flawlessly directly inside of the browser. So think about the amazing amount of opportunity that you can have by doing this for most of your digital marketing tasks. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Really, I really can't. How much things are becoming commoditized. You've got to focus more on strategy. And that's exactly what this live stream is going to bring light to you, is really focusing in on the strategy, because that's the data that we're seeing. So to recap, get ChatGPT Atlas. That should be the first thing that you do. Understand that 31% of prompts going into ChatGPT are looking for search results. That's growing exponentially. It was last November, I think, that ChatGPT search even came out. So that's going to continue to grow. And then realize that you can run GPT visibility reports if you're using SplashDash with any business really quickly without having to set up intensive project management software. And I make that a key point of conversation whenever I talk to a customer now, is here's how you're showing up in ChatGPT. Here's how you're showing up in Google. Here's the gap. Here's how we're going to fix that. Here's what we're going to target, etc. But the algorithms are changing. So let's kind of move on and get forward with it. So the second thing is Google is now basically pushing AI mode. This is something that we saw coming. This was a long time ago that we saw AI mode actually becoming a thing. But today I loaded up Google and it was in AI mode. And I didn't ask for that. It just kind of pushed it there. So Google has begun nudging users towards its new conversational search experience. Now, the reason why this is critical is because for 30% of the world that uses Android phones, 40% of the world that uses Android phones, the minute they actually talk to that phone, so the minute they take their phone and they ask it a question through voice, which, by the way, guys, I live through voice. I don't really text or type too much. I do everything in voice because I just have too much to say. Marketing is about communication. So you behind the camera right now, if you're communicating often, you're going to do good marketing. So I'll do a lot of communication directly through my voice. Android's going to use Gemini, and Android's going to use AI mode. It's not going to use ChatGPT. So it's really, really critical that you understand that algorithms are now going towards the AI mode. So in this case, I typed in best med spas in Southington, and the results weren't that much different from the Google search results. The only difference is that the citations it picked up were a little bit different than what the normal Google search results are actually pulling in. When you actually look at this, if you look at the top, you see where it says all maps, images, short videos. Google has basically confirmed that it's going to surface way more short videos and user-generated content. And it's interesting because as SEO people, search engine optimization specialists, etc., whatever you want to call yourself, we're thinking about the algorithm. Google's simply saying the algorithm's changing because you guys want different information. So expect a world, especially over the next year, and DevelopMark is well prepared for this. And I'm going to show you our exact process of how we're going to maximize that, is well prepared to be able to offer short form video content for all of our clients, targeting all of the keywords. So I'm going to show you the exact strategy that that looks like right now. Perplexity, ChatGPT, Google, YouTube, all of these platforms are prioritizing that short form content because users tend to like it. And so if you're not creating short form for yourself or your client, you're going to be left behind and you're not even going to be discovered in the search results. So let's talk about that strategy just a little bit, right? So this is a search result that I did for the same keyword phrase, med spas in Southington, which is a client that we work with. And you can see a lot of the things that are showing up, 2 of them are their business, and then the other ones are not their businesses. That's the value of this. It used to be so much focused on domain authority, things along those lines, and it still is for traditional search. But now short form AI has allowed businesses to get discoverability that they would have never gotten in the traditional SEO world. They would have never gotten the backlinks. They would have never gotten those things that would have allowed them to rank well if they're prioritizing these opportunities, short form, LSAs, which we're going to talk about in a second, That's giving you a real opportunity to show up. Guys, I cannot stress this enough to you that websites are just a conversion mechanism for the brand. Discovery happens off of the website, primarily through advertising. Advertising should not be a gamble. It is a weighted risk that you're taking. You're understanding how much it costs to acquire a customer. That sets your ad budget. And then you're understanding the lifetime value of that customer. So whenever a business owner asks you, or you ask yourself, how much am I willing to pay for a customer? Include what it's going to take to do the video, what it's going to take to do the website, what it's going to take to do the landing page, and scale it with advertising with large amounts of creative. In a future video, I'm going to show you guys my AI creative process, and it's going to blow your mind. And I'm going to show you the Andromeda update and how we're handling that with meta ads, because we spend a ton of money on meta ads for our clients. So I'm really careful about how much money we're spending there. So it's really, really critical that you guys really pay attention to this. Now, if I go over to the actual page here, I want to show you guys something really quick. So my actual process for the short form is really straightforward. So I recently started getting a little bit more consistent on YouTube. And the reason for that is because I just genuinely enjoy doing it. I spent a lot of time ignoring YouTube because I was running my business. I have a real business to run. I have real people that depend on me. I have people that need payroll. I have people that need health insurance. So I have to maintain clients, and like that's just very busy. So with YouTube, I have more time to do it now, and I genuinely enjoy doing it. But the reason why I want to show you this is because short form content, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. It really doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to get viewership. So these are some examples of videos that I posted today. And you can see 154 views, 938 views, 776 views. This was the actual live stream that I did. So the short form content is getting a lot more viewership than the actual live streams that I'm doing. And you can see that the top videos in the last 48 hours are the short form content that I'm doing. Now, you might be asking, well, what's the process here? Well, the process is I'm posting these long form videos, specifically a live stream like this, and then I'm using technology like Opus Clips, which allows me to take a video and then condense all of those videos into short form videos that I can then post on the internet. Now, I'm curating this information, right? You know, the difference between the curation and the difference between just adding is that when you curate, you really think about what you're adding and what you're not adding, because I have a brand to maintain. So I can't just spam YouTube with a bunch of garbage. I really want to make sure that what I'm promoting and what I'm showing is going to get the result. The shorter, the better in this situation. So the strategy here is taking a live stream or taking a long form video of a client, then breaking that down into a bunch of shorts, doing that 3 times per week. And now you have shorts going on all of the time. Guys, don't get discouraged by this, because if you really think about this, imagine talking to 939 people from a simple video that you posted that is, 15 seconds long. Think about that. Imagine you had to go out and talk to 939 people. Everyone is so obsessed about views, subscribers, likes, comments on all of their social platforms. Forget all of that. It's all about the quality of the viewership. One viewer could mean $12,000 to my company. One viewer could mean $100,000 to my company over 5 years' time. We're in interest media, as Gary Vee has been saying. Go follow what he's saying about live streaming and interest media. It's super interesting. You're trying to target the person that's going to make the most sense. You're not trying to create broad content. You're trying to create super niche specific content and become known for that. That's the goal. And so with the short form content, it really allows you to do that at a really nice scale. So you can see that for this video, which is just a simple 15-second video that really just talks about a really great topic that I actually really love enjoying talking about, which is doing the work is only 50% of your job, right? Actually communicating the work well is the other 50% of the job that you want to communicate, that you want to do too. Now, look, I already did the hard work of this work. This was a live stream that was done the other day. So the live stream is here. So I already did the hard work of actually getting the content. Then I just used Opus Clips to shorten it. And now that video is getting a bunch of views. From one session, I can have 15 to 20 videos done, and I can schedule those posts over a longer period of time. Now, if you want to get even crazier with the strategy, what I recommend that you do if you're working for yourself or if you're doing this for a client is you can actually time the posts that you're doing by going into your analytics, going into the audience, and then making sure that you're timing the posts to the timeframes that are going to be hot for your YouTube channel or your client's YouTube channel. This is the direct strategy that we're using to make sure that we're showing up in the actual short form algorithm, which I just talked to you about. So it's becoming really, really, really popular. And if you want to surface in these things, you've got to focus on short form. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I would do this with a customer, because my business is not just focused on myself, right? I can't just market myself all day. I've got to make real revenue. And so DevelopMark's doing well. I mean, we're doing $2 million per year in revenue, so it's no small feat. And the way that we're going to scale that is by making sure that we're delivering the services of the modern day, right? The modern day services aren't the traditional things that you were doing before. All of that's commoditized. No one cares about that anymore. Stop doing that stuff. Don't put any energy into that stuff. And in fact, when I show you what I'm doing with the ChatGPT Atlas, the browser and its agent, like there's no point of investing your time and energy into these things that aren't going to get any viewership. You're focused on things that are going to get you the results. And usually it's the 20% of the things that you do that generate the 80% of the results. I've made a video about that in the past. But really what I want to show you guys is when we look at this stuff, right? And right now I'm showing you this information, but generally speaking, I'll show you an example of a client that I'm working with, and we're going to start using a lot of this strategy with them. So they provide a service that's called ketamine therapy. And for those of you that don't know what this is it's extremely niche. I love the niches. I love the customers that are doing the things that other people just aren't doing, because in the world of interest media, they don't need any followers to start getting viewership. All it takes is a few people out of the thousands of views we're going to get them, not to mention the ads. The ads are going to get millions of views. But outside of that, all it takes is a few customers for them to get the return on investment that they're looking for. Just think about that approach. Are you going to go to a customer and tell them what they're going to potentially make one time? Or are you going to think about lifetime value of that customer? That's what gets their ears ringing. That's what gets them excited. So let's get back to the strategy here. So if I'm going to work with a customer that's going to focus on ketamine therapy, I'm going to do some keyword research, and I'm going to figure out all of the different ways that ketamine therapy is currently being mentioned across the web. Now, when you go to the website, you can easily use ChatGPT to find out all the different topics that you can cover within ketamine therapy, and that's really great. But what I'm going to do is, instead of writing a bunch of blog articles for the client, which is a traditional SEO approach that was done in the past, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in front of a camera. I'm going to interview them about the topic as much as possible. And then I'm going to make that into a long form piece of content. And then I'm going to break it up into a bunch of different shorts. Now, recently, I've been doing this and installing these people into people's companies, because it's not feasible to have a videographer as an agency charging customers to do this. It's more feasible for them to hire a part-time videographer, photographer to get this information from them. When I show you my AI creative process, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can do so much with just one photo and one video. And that's going to allow you to get content that's going to allow you to get evergreen. It's going to scale, and you're going to have plenty to work with. And so what I'm trying to do in these situations is I'm trying to get consistent videos of the customer, consistently broken down, and then using those to post on all the platforms, and then running them as ads as well. With the Andromeda update that I'm trying to tell you guys about with Meta, a key proportion of it is the actual reach of the interests. So here's the example that we take a look. And so you can take a look and see that I pulled some keyword research around the term ketamine therapy. So what I'm really looking at right now is a bunch of question-based keyword phrases. So these are the kinds of things that I'm going to post, and I'm going to ask, and I'm going to make shorts for. So for example, if I really wanted to maximize this strategy, I would make a short for each and every single one of these keyword phrases. Because as I was showing you before, inside of the AI search results, people are going to see the different short form videos. Now, the real strategy here is I can make one long form video like I showed you guys in the past, and I can take that long form video and break it down into videos that are going to be like this. So imagine, instead of this topic for myself, the topic was one of those keywords for the client. That's the strategy that you want to approach this with. You're going to upload a ton of them. They're not going to get many results, but you're going to upload a bunch of them that are going to get a bunch of results. The benefit of this is, too, that these also become creative for meta ads. So we're running meta ads, we're running the YouTube shorts, and eventually in the algorithms, they're going to pick that up and they're going to get customers from it when they're not even expecting it. So really, 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 really major key. Along with that, inside of those keyword phrases, you can go pretty much forever, right? And so if I'm sitting the customer down and I'm asking them these questions, I'm going to just make sure that everything looks good, and I break it down, and I'm going to take that video and then put it into Opus Clips and get a bunch of the breakdowns there. So really, really important strategy for you guys to really think about as you start to scale the local and really think about what's going to work and what's not. So that's a little bit more about the short form videos and UGC in search. Super, super critical. Now let's get into advertising. Google recently changed the advertising label to sponsored results inside of the actual results. Now, before, it wasn't sponsored results and it said ad. This is going to be a benefit. See changes as benefits too, by the way, guys. When something changes, there's opportunity. When a problem arises, there's opportunity. Don't see it as something that you need to suddenly change and you have to get stressed out about. That's the wrong way of thinking. That's defensive thinking. You want to think offensive. You don't want to be defensive. Being paranoid does pay. The most fit people in the world, our ancestors were very paranoid, and that's okay. We're living in a modern society where you don't really have to be paranoid. You can be more offensive, or offensive. So really think about that. But however, this is allowing us to see who's running ads, how they're running ads, the ads that they're running, and it allows us to actually hide those ads. Now for SplashDash, that's going to make our lives a lot easier because we have a report that allows you to see the advertising in an area, and it allows you to see what kind of ads they're running. So this is an example of that. If I go to, and I move this, and I change this over here. So for example, this report relies on Google Ads Transparency Network. So if I want to be able to see all of the ads that a local business is running in that area, what their ads look like, map out their funnel, et cetera, and things like that, these ad transparency updates that are currently happening inside of the algorithms are going to help people like me that are creating technology for like this, for that makes it easier for you to convince customers on your ideas. That is ultimately going to be a good thing for the industry as an entire, I believe. A lot of people are upset about that. They actually don't like the idea of changing it to sponsored results, but personally, I think it just makes the most sense. So that's something that you really want to consider too. Now, for those of you that are running Google Guaranteed, if you're not familiar with Google Guaranteed, I highly recommend it, especially for local service-based businesses. There's now just a straight-up Google Verified badge. And so if you already have the listing approved, you don't need to really worry about that. SplashDash allows you to run a report. That's also going to make our reporting better. That allows you to see the LSA results, and that transparency means better and more accurate predictions. Typically speaking, if you're running LSAs for a customer, that's the Google Verified badge, which, by the way, I made a video about it a long time ago, and I was one of the first proponents of making sure that everyone knew LSAs was an opportunity of a lifetime. Customers got a ton of results from it. Then they introduced medical. Then now they're introducing different categories. So don't think that the category of your business or your customer business is off the table. Most search results, you'll see the actual LSA listing there. So make sure that you take the time to get the customer listed there. And now it's going to be a lot better because everything's going towards verified. Personally, I believe that most businesses are only going to be showed in the Google Maps results unless they're verified. So this is what one of those reports look like. So if you're working in the LSAs and the verification has just changed, you'll be able to see really what's running in that area. The reason why we made this one specifically is because sometimes when you search it, for example, I'll search that exact term, you'll see the results, but it won't really give you too much information. It definitely won't tell you what you need to do to beat them. So this report allows me to do that LSA result, see the average number of reviews, see the average number of photos, see the average number of years in business. And this gives me selling ammunition when I talk to the customer, because now I know exactly what I need to do to beat the competition. And that's what they want to hear. For them to get an ROI, just be aware, for the customer to get an ROI, you need to do better than their competition. Why? Because the consumer has a choice. The consumer doesn't have to work with your business. They can go work with other businesses. So I've been thinking a lot about how something appears visually. It doesn't matter if you're ranking first on Google. It doesn't matter if you're running ads. What matters is strategically how you're communicating this stuff. If it's going to take you 50 impressions to get a customer, if you do it well, it can only take you 10 impressions to get a customer. That's taking your ad dollars much further. That's taking your efforts much further. These are the kinds of things you want to think about, is how can I lower my cost per acquisition cost, or customer acquisition cost? So if you look at these businesses, just answer it honestly. This one is a client we work with. This one is their competition. Okay, it doesn't matter that the competition is above us in this case. If they were, just look at the comparison. As somebody who's marketing this business in this area, guys, I've got to know this stuff, because if I'm competing with a practice or a business that looks like this, and my client, and I don't want to offend anybody because I don't know who this is, and my client looks like this, it doesn't matter how much traffic you get. that almost doesn't matter, right? You're now talking at a business genetic level. Like one business looks amazing, the other business isn't really looking too hot. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how much traffic you drive. So, really think about marketing at a deeper level than just what you see in the search results and just what you see inside of the metrics. So, I hope that makes sense. So, that's why we're building a lot of these tools is to be able to visualize that. And most importantly, to be able to communicate it with the customer because 50% of your work is doing the work. That's important. I understand that. 50% of your work is communicating with the customer. Why are you making the decisions that you're making? If you have data, zip. The customer and the stakeholders, zip. When you pull up with information and data, there's no arguing it as long as it's close to being accurate. But if there's no data, everyone's just guessing. And you're better off just putting money on black. You probably have a better chance of making an ROI than guessing. So, rule number one, do not guess. Show up with data, communicate exactly what you need to do to beat them. And I guarantee you, you're going to get better results for less money. That's the key. Better results, less money. If you can do that, you will be the most effective advertiser in your area. And that's what I want you to be. So, with that being said, let's go on to the next step is Google Maps ads gain site link feature. So the reason I put this one up here is because I wanted to show you an example of a Google ad that has excellent strength. Now, I just finished reading this book, which is called Click Here. You guys need to stop what you're doing, leave this live stream, and go buy this. This is the CMO of Meta who just launched this book. I just saw this book published by Mark Zuckerberg, and he highly recommended it. You just think about that for a second. The CMO of Meta wrote a book, and you can go buy it, and you can learn everything that he knows about advertising. Do you think this is going to improve your skill set? Probably, right? I'm not an affiliate, and even if I was, this is not enough money for me to care about what I would make from this book. However, what I'm trying to tell you here is first-party data has killed all targeting. Stop targeting interest, stop targeting ages, focus on uploading a clean list, and then get good on the creative. So when I talk about the ad creative that we're going to be talking about using AI, you're going to see how that upgrade of the algorithm works. So I wanted to show you this because similar to Meta, reinforcing extreme optimization at the ad level for the creative has become significantly more important than the targeting. The targeting is almost gone. That's almost a thing of the past. That doesn't even exist anymore. Pretty soon, you won't even see keyword data inside of Google search. The only reason they're doing that is because a bunch of customers would be pissed off that are probably spending a lot of money with them. However, what I've learned from Alex Schultz is uploading clean data and separating bad data is what makes a good targeting mechanism. I spend zero time on targeting. Why? Well, it's very simple. When I work with a client, right, I go to their website, I go to their CRM. In this case, let's say it's ActiveCampaign. I don't want to pull the ActiveCampaign up. I was going to, but now that I see this, I can see this. Okay, let's do this. So I can pull up the ActiveCampaign of the customer's account, and I can get that data, download it, and now I have my targeting list. As I showed you guys in the past, a lot of the targeting lists can actually be created inside of audiences directly inside of Meta. And so a lot of my targeting, I don't even spend time on. I'll just upload the customer's database inside of there and then start targeting their database. The best customers in the world are going to have this information already prepared for you. And so you don't have to think about targeting at all. But site links are coming to the Google Maps level. And that's why I think in the near future, verified from the Google LSA is also going to come to the Google Maps section. So the sooner that you can get a business verified in Google local service ads, even if you're not charging them, even if it's just a thing that you're doing for visibility and search, because there is an organic listing that you can do. Use SplashDash to tell them what you're going to take, what it's going to take for you to beat them there, and then get them listed, and then focus aggressively on making sure they look good compared to the other competition, because the consumer has an option, right? And so really, really think about that. Google is enhancing how things are showing in the maps, probably because they know if ChatGPT gains more dominance, a lot of their value is going to be in their map data. So they're going to exercise their power in the maps. I promise you that. So that's that. And then Meta urges you to avoid using the phone to boost posts. This one is so obvious, it kills me. So just to give you some context here, if you're using a phone, you're wasting 30% of your ad spend. So if you talk to a customer and they're using their phone and they're boosting posts, they're literally wasting 30% of the ad spend because Apple's taking 30%. We always use desktop to launch ads. That's a non-negotiable because A, it has better features, and B, you can do a lot more cool things with the targeting. I've been meaning to work on a meta masterclass that I want to do just because like our company has been doing such amazing things with meta that I really want to just get more into showing you guys how we're doing some of that stuff. Like for example, I'm just going to upload something really quick for you guys to watch. Like this is a creative that we're going to run on meta that's going to get millions of views. And that's the beauty of the advertising, right? Like if you're doing organic, you're literally relying on some algorithm to push you, which is just very difficult to do. It's very difficult to scale. If you want to scale, the easiest way to do so is by running ads. So
season at Tranquility Vineyard.
This is an ad that we just recorded for a client. And really the premises of the ad is to promote the idea that people can walk into the business. So we have the campaign structure, if you would say. This ad is going to be in 3 different sizes, and those 3 different sizes are going to run in 3 different places in Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. So this is the type of creative that we'll launch
at Tranquility Vineyard,
right?
where walk-ins
It'll
are
be
welcome
really nice.
with
It'll be
no
really
reservations
straightforward.
required.
It'll exactly say what we're trying
Drop
to do.
in.
We're not trying to get creative with the messaging here, guys. Oh my God. No superlatives, no creative messaging. Just tell people in your area what you do and why you're a good option and what you don't do, actually. Another good thing you could do is tell people what you don't do. That's a really good way of doing things too. It disqualifies a lot of people that you may not want to work with.
So and enjoy our selection of wine, handcrafted with decades of experience.
And so when we ran these ads in the past,
fill your glass with bites.
Get a lot more
Order
customers,
in from our sister restaurants.
Relax
in the club lounge, or settle under our private historic silo.
Not bad, but still, it's not going to be anything like if I was actually running ads. So key point here is I'm going to do a meta masterclass. I'm going to do that a little bit later when I have some solid examples, but just urge customers not to use the actual meta app. So last one I want to show you is Media Link Survey of Marketer found that 84% of consumers are shifting from traditional search engine and towards mobile apps. Back to the shorts conversation of people spending more time on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. The website, however, when they're ready to make a purchase or they're ready to contact the business, the website better be the mechanism that's fully optimized to do so with a clear call to action, 1 conversion mechanism. You can't have 2 conversions. You can't have 2 call to actions. You can't have 2 offers. Just keep it simple, like a simple funnel, but on their domain. Don't do this third-party crap. Don't build your landing pages on Unpages, Unbounce. Don't build your landing pages on Go High Level. Don't build your landing pages on these different tools. Build the website directly on the client's domain and make sure that you're SEO optimizing that, you're driving traffic to it, you're retargeting, you're doing all of the right things on their primary domain. That's how you're going to reap the most reward. I want to make this very clear to the people that are watching that are doing this for other customers. The customer is holding you accountable regardless. It doesn't matter what you're doing. They're holding you accountable. So you might as well do everything you can, 1% by 1% by 1%, to make sure you get the most result for that customer. And when you do so, tell them about it. Don't expect them to just give you credit. That's not a thing that people do in the advertising space. Out of all of the books that I read on advertising, the common theme that I find is you must continue to sell your value. If you fail to do so, they will attribute their success to themselves and none of it to you. Want to make that very clear. And you don't have to be an a-hole about this. You don't have to be this cocky, arrogant, prideful prick. What you can do is you can just gently remind them what they're getting out of the advertising. Best way to do that is by looking at the contact form, looking at the comments they're getting, looking at the website, making sure you're communicating traffic. And that's really why I'm building SplashDash, is because I want it to be the tool that allows you to communicate at an advanced level with your customers without having to pay for all these different tools. So really, really critical. And with that being said, guys, that's it. On my next live, I'm going to talk about ChatGPT Atlas a lot more because I've been testing it all day. And I'll see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching.